Sports Illustrated came out with a cover. Did you see this cover, Matt? See if you can pull this up.
Is it Kaepernick?
That's a good question. Is it Kaepernick? It's about the protests that we saw around football. Just Google Sports Illustrated cover. Yeah, there it is. And there's an interesting aspect about it. Matt asked if is it a cover of Kaepernick. Well, let's look at the picture. See a lot of athletes on there. See people locking arms. A nation divided, sports united. This week's Sports Illustrated cover. You know who I do not see there? Who do I not see there? Matt? Colin Kaepernick. And this is what we were saying at the beginning of the week, that the whole original idea of what the protest was about was being consumed. And the only person who I saw during the week who addressed this well, who really addressed this well, was Shannon Sharpe. And he has a show, I guess, on Fox Sports. I think he does a show with somebody else. And I don't know much about Shannon Sharpe. I mean, I think he was a tight end? And and this is just a clip of what he said. But it was really powerful, and it was really important. And it needed to be said, and needs to be said, continue to be said. But here's Shannon Sharpe, almost anticipating that you would start seeing like a Sports Illustrated cover about the protest, and Colin Kaepernick has been completely written out of the picture. Here it is.
And when they asked him, he said, it's not about the flag, it's not about the veterans, it's not about the police. It's about the brutality that unarmed men and women of color are suffering. It's about the injustices. It's about the inequities that's going on in America. That's what he said. And still, we talk about the freedom of speech, and all these teams released these statements, said how divisive. Only the Seattle Seahawks touched on what the real issue was. And the problem that I have, Skip, is that these guys, some of them, and I'm very disappointed, and a few I'd like to say, I'm very disappointed in one of my very best friends, Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis sat in that chair right there and said that he could never kneel. He could never not stand for the national anthem because so many people died, and he had family members to fight for this country, and the opportunity, and the flag means so much to him. And he kneeled, not on one knee, on both knees. So what were you kneeling for? You kneeled, you showed solidarity because of what President Trump said. And when Colin Kaepernick is trying to draw attention to the injustices going on, you deemed that inappropriate? LaSean McCoy, you remember what you said about a month ago about Colin Kaepernick? Not only were you kneeling, you were stretching. You were even worse than kneeling. The hypocrisy. And that's what I find so ironic about this, Skip. The very people that said they could never, ever kneel. Some people, I like Tom Brady. Tom Brady said, I'm not going to touch it. I prefer you do that. But these, all of a sudden, I just want to know, what are you unifying against? Are you showing unity? Are you showing solidarity against racism or the injustices that's in this country? Or are you showing solidarity against President Trump and what he said, his attack on the very NFL, the shield? Because what we know about, above all else, those 32 men and the commissioner will protect that NFL shield at all costs against all foreign and domestic. President Trump had to find out the hard way. They've allowed him to attack so many groups in America. It wasn't until he came for one of 32 and the 1,600 men, and only a handful of them, Skip, have ever nailed in protest.
Yep.
And he called him an SOB, and that shocked the conscience.
He goes on to say that, that shocked the conscience of football players, but not when Trump had said Mexicans were rapists. Not when he says this about Rosie O'Donnell. Not when he says grab them, grab their pussies. None of that. Not when he has no problem with people marching with torches. He said only when it came to telling NFL owners what they can and cannot do with their own employees, and only when it came to criticizing a football player. Good for Shannon Sharpe. And you see Sports Illustrated, right? Just like rushing in to fill that void. We're going to make this about the second order issue. That second order issue. Now, there are legitimate arguments about the First Amendment, about infringement of free speech. But so many people out there use that as a bank shot. And when they use it as a bank shot in the context of like Colin Kaepernick, it is cowardice.
You fill up time with something you'd rather talk about.
Yeah. And you see like Dave Rubin do it, the flip side of that, the same thing. Free speech becomes just sort of his bank shot way of winking to the alt-right. Go take a look at what he said about Colin Kaepernick. He just said, like, the president has the right to do this, right? The president of the United States has the right to tell industry that they should fire people who are protesting. But yet students can't protest against a speaker at a college? What? Give me a break. Give me a break. I mean, you look at like things like, it's just becoming more and more that free speech is becoming the last refuge for a lot of people who are avoiding talking about something else for whatever reason. Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos